I do use coils for black and gray still. Like if I'm doing black and gray, I still feel like I'm better with that.
I figured you'd say that. I mean, no, seeing you, hearing you, you got a real hard traditional, rooting in you.
Yeah.
Like I guessed at it by looking at your work and seeing some of the things you've done in your paintings. I'm like, this guy's maybe not loyal to the coil, but you're still using artisanal machines.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't have a wizard stick.
I'm not, I can't do, like I see most of the people in my shop use those.
Right.
There's only like...
You don't use cartridges either.
What's that?
You don't use
no
cartridges?
No. I've never used their cartridge.
Okay.
But I see people in my shop using them and I'm like, man, that looks so efficient and so clean and just like easy,
Right.
Which there's something to that.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I can do it,
Shit's about to go down. I'm feeling something in my spirit.
Chats and Tatts with Aaron, Della, Vedova.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Chats and Tatts. Aaron here. My guest today, well, first of all, he is a tattooer's tattooer. I mean, this is one of those guys that all of the people in my own shop have his art hanging on the walls. I mean, he has created a voice in tattooing that is uniquely his own. Not a lot of people do that. It's beautiful. I look up to his art. Probably he's in the top 10 for me. He's amazing. We get into a lot of cool stuff today. He has a very traditional mindset, even though he's not an old dude. He's 44. He's been tattooing for 22 years, but he definitely is rooted in that old school mentality. So I challenged him with some ideas about AI. I challenged him with some ideas around numbing cream and even anesthesia tattooing. And he had some cool thoughts around it, new thoughts, things that made me question my ideas around it. So that's the episode today. He is the owner of Dark Age Tattoo, which he's actually leaving and relocating, maybe the East Coast. We'll see. So with all that being said, please welcome my guest today, the great and amazing Derek Noble. Bro, all the way from Seattle, Washington. Thank you for making the journey. That's not an easy journey. Appreciate you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Everybody, I'm here talking with Derek Noble today. A lot of you guys are tattooers, and if you're a tattooer, I know you know his work. I would call you a tattooer's tattooer.
Thank you.
And I say that with all due respect. I wasn't. I mean, yeah, I've tattooed my share of tattooers, but I tended to be the people's tattooer. Like I was doing the work that other folks wanted. But when you get into tattooers, they have a unique taste. It's kind of like a sommelier, the wine they drink. It's way different than the wine I probably drink, or a chef where he eats. Probably different than where I eat. And that's a compliment. Like when you can attract. And am I right by saying you tattoo a lot of tattooers?
I do, yeah.
And you sell a lot of your paintings to tattooers.
I do.
I know that because they're hanging in my shops and all the guys that work here. I see your paintings. And By the way, I'll say it just right out of the gate. Love your work. Big fan myself. Really do. Love your paintings even more. And that's not a disrespect to your work. I just think the paintings are fucking on another level.
Thank you.
And really what strikes me about your work the most, it's just so rare to find people that create a look in their work, in their art, that doesn't seem to reflect somebody else's work. And I really believe you've got this, it's you. It's Derek Noble, and it's no mistaking it. I mean, you see it, you know it, and it's dope. And
thank you.
You're welcome. And, I have to ask a little bit about this because I've always been curious about this personally. I see in your work Tibetan art.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sure, I can see that.
Do you gain a lot of influence from ancient Tibetan texts and things? Because the way you do your skeletons, the skin is sort of still, ripples in the tissue, like in the guts coming out. I've seen a lot of that with Kali and Shiva.
Yeah.
Is that a big influence?
Yeah, to a certain degree. I mean, I think probably the bigger influences are just like the medieval, like religious panel paintings and stuff like that. But then when it gets to like the actual layouts and stuff, I really do like the Tibetan and even like Japanese influence of just like how things are laid out and like the composition of it. The themes might be more of the like European medieval stuff, but with that composition of the Asian stuff.
And I would add that what I see in it, a very traditional tattoo aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like the merger of those three things is what I
Right.
see. This Tibetan Eastern art,
Mm-hmm.
Japanese, Tibet, and then you've got your traditional aesthetic from tattooing,
Right.
and then composition from Japan.
Yeah. Yeah.
If anyone figured out composition,
They figured it out
They did.
thousands of years ago.
you don't need to
Yeah.
re-figure it out. The Japanese did it for us.
Dude, they did it a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's
You
like,
can't reinvent that shit. I've heard it said third rule. Third black, third color. If you're
Right.
doing a color piece, third skin.
Right.
Have you heard that rule?
oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's a good rule.
It's a good rule. Yeah.
The biggest one being, I had to learn this because I when I came in 32 years ago, new school was the shit.
Sure.
You know, everything was packed with color. Everything was saturated. You didn't
Mhm.
leave any skin.
Right.
And it took me years to figure out, why is this looking not right? Why?
Right.
The skin of a human body is your brightest color,
hmm
right?
That's your white.
That's your white.
Yeah.
Exactly. And yeah, maybe you can use white to highlight an eyeball, or
Sure.
glare in an eyeball or something,
Sure.
but packing it all in like that, not a big fan of it personally.
Yeah.
And I see it in your work too, using the person's flesh to come out as your brightest color.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
That's huge.
Because, you can pack a bunch of white in there, but it's not going to hold up over time. There's no real.
Or peach or
Yeah.
light baby blue.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
No, you definitely have that balance to your work, in your tattoo work and in your paintings. Well, your paintings are a little different because obviously it's a painting.
Sure.
Well, we're kind of going down your technique road, and I do want to go down that. But I think to get people to know you, to get this kicked off, you're a tattoo artist of 22 years.
Right.
You have owned and work at Dark Age Tattoo.
10
of
years.
10 years. We could talk about this later, but you're currently leaving that behind. You're born and raised Seattle. You live Seattle. You breathe Seattle. This is all in Seattle, Washington. It's time for a change for you.
Right.
And you don't know where that is, but you're looking at where that's going to be.
Right.
You're 44 years old. You're single. But let me have you tell your story. Like, I love this story of like how you end up here, because where you are, it's a pretty unique position. I mean,
Sure.
you probably we represent, people that have made it and doing something in tattooing, 0.05% of the population. I don't know the number,
Right,
but there's
right.
not a lot of people out there. And I'm always curious, like how folks get from regular life, to this life. So tell us
Yeah.
a bit about that. How did it happen for you?
When I was like late teenager, started getting into tattoos, like wanting tattoos, got tattooed when I was 17.
Ooh,
Remember
breaking the law.
Breaking the law.
That's probably part of it too. You like breaking the law?
yeah. That was honestly, that was a huge part of it, was just like, I didn't want to work a normal job, like I wanted to work in a weird situation. I wanted that fucking like pirate excitement kind of shit, like that's definitely what I was looking for.
And by the way, 22 years ago, you probably got a taste of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Did get a taste of that.
But before you get to that, I want to know how you got into the club.
I did get offered an apprenticeship when I was 18, but I had just gotten a scholarship to play football. So I was kind of about to do that.
Where at?
University of Washington. I got a scholarship to play linebacker there. I was there for 2 years. I was a stupid kid and wanted to do illegal shit.
You were a normal kid.
I wanted to
What kid isn't stupid?
Yeah, I wanted to just party and do dumb shit. And so I kind of fucked up that whole situation. And then I ended up leaving there and got a scholarship offer to Western Washington University, which is in Bellingham, Washington, which is like an hour north of Seattle. So that brought me up there. I did that, played there. And then after like my junior year, I had a pretty good season, and I was just like, I actually didn't go to class at all that year. I was living on my buddy's couch, just drinking and playing football. And
Sounds like a good athletic program.
Yeah,
you're
so
on.
after the last game of that season, I just told the coaches, I'm like, I'm done. Like, I haven't even gone to class this semester. Like, and they're like, all right. And so I went straight to the tat shop in town and got tattooed and asked the dude if he would apprentice me. And he was like, no, man, I'm not looking for an apprentice. And so I did some...
Whoever that was, you fucked up.
I did. So I did some stupid jobs around town. And then I went back with like my sketchbook and stuff and got tattooed again, talked to the same dude. And then he was kind of looking through my sketchbook and he was like, yeah, all right, dude. And he ended up telling me, he was just like, I knew like if I didn't take you, somebody else would. So yeah, this dude, Brian Ticklar, up in Bellingham. He apprenticed me, started there in Bellingham, Washington. And
how'd that go? Like, you know, apprenticeships are so wildly different.
Yeah.
Right? And there's not a set way.
Yeah.
Right? Did you have to pay money? Did you have to?
I did. It wasn't much. And, you know, Brian wasn't that much older than me at the time. I think, you know, I was 22. He was like 28 or something. So, you know, it wasn't like I was learning from like
Seasoned
a big,
50-year-old
yeah,
guy.
like an old, like gnarly biker dude. He had learned from a biker dude. So the biker stuff was kind of in the mix a little bit, but at the same time, and I mean, you know, it wasn't a lot of like, he was cool. He was always really cool. We always respected each other. I mean, he would make me do some stupid shit, but there wasn't a lot of like hazing and like that kind of shit. Also, I was way bigger than him. So it was like,
He knew he couldn't get away with it.
but man, I mean, we're close friends to this day. But
How long was your apprenticeship?
It was 2 years. It was
Yeah.
2 years. I mean, I was tattooing after about 6-8 months or something.
So back then, you're making needles.
oh yeah, man.
It's the
That
old
was-
ways.
Dude,
You got the
it-
jigs. You got the
Yeah.
you got the solder.
yeah, like making needle groupings and Coke cans, and you know, like yeah. I mean, that was the majority of what I was
We
doing.
used a loom. You ever used a loom?
Mm-mm.
So you know what a loom is,
Yeah,
right? We take a piece of Levi jeans, put it in a loom, and these needles suck, by the way. And Frank, I don't know if you're still alive, Frank Fumano, just saying it out loud. I love you. Thank you. I know it didn't end well, but I can now see the priceless teachings you gave to me, and I appreciate them. But I will say, there's one needle you taught me to make that fucking sucks, dude. And they were like, I think they were 9 or 10 rounds, they called them. So you do a grouping of a round, and then you'd push it through the jeans.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
you'd look on the backside, because sometimes it wouldn't really spread out
Spread
in
it
a perfect.
out.
But sometimes you look on the backside, it was just fanned out perfect.
Yeah.
You drop solder on it. Now you've got this little round 9, 10 needle thing. And that to him was like, this is the shit.
Yeah.
No one knows how to do these, kid. And I tried to make good tattoos with those fucking things forever. In my mind, they made sense. A round, not a fucking mag.
Yeah, yeah.
A mag is flat. I'm like,
Right.
that doesn't make sense. Now I know that we all, you know, I don't know about all, but we all use mags. I'm assuming you use, when you're coloring, when you're shading, you're using mags.
I mean, there's a place for rounds, but yeah,
but
for
not
the most
not
part.
rounds to color in.
No.
Yeah, we were trying that shit.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, we used looms to make those fucking things. I mean, we'd make needles, and they would go through a sterilizer. So
Yeah.
you'd have to check the needles to see how worn down they were.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when, you know, the other thing for me was always the thing I hated the most was putting my hand in the dirty needle bin and getting all those out, then like autoclaving those so I could pop the fucking heads off and then sand them down and reuse all the fucking needle bars. I fucking hated that.
Yeah, we all hated that.
Yeah.
And not to mention, it wasn't really great breathing in all that flux.
Dude, for hours. Like, I mean, that's the majority of what I did was just one of the dudes that worked there would go do Sturgis, and like I'd just sit
Like
there for like
1,000 needles.
weeks, just fucking like huffing flux for just yeah, dude.
Oh, I don't even want to think about that, buddy. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
I'm still alive. I'm 52, so I think you got a few more years in you.
Yeah. I got 10 more good years, maybe.
Maybe. Well, okay. So continue. You get this apprenticeship, do a couple years, not disrespected, not hazed, you know, made to work, made to make needles, made to do.
Yeah, did all the
good
work.
ass- yeah.
Did all the work, did all the, you know, had to learn how to, you know, put together machines. And, you know, the first machine I made was one that I had to Frankenstein, you know, together between a bunch of stuff in the shop, you know, and like,
Right.
you know, all that stuff. And I did my first tattoo maybe 6-8 months into it, but that was just on friends. You know, I don't think I was on clients, like people coming in the door till, you know, a little over a year or so. I don't know. It was cool. Like all the guys that worked there always like thought that I had something to offer, you know, and so they were all pretty supportive. And yeah, there's a dude named Phil who came up to work there from Nashville. He ended up buying the shop, you know, I think a year or so after the shop went through a few different owners and turned it like a couple different names. By the time I left, it was called Sabbath Tattoo up in Bellingham. It's still Sabbath Tattoo up there, and Phil still owns it. Phil's about my age when he came in, and he had just been tattooing for longer than me and kind of been traveling around and seen more stuff, and had some people come up and guest up there because it's a small town. And like when when I started up there, it was like, you know, for the first 3 or 4 years, like the only tattooers I knew were the dudes in that shop. Like we didn't talk to other tattooers in the.
No one did back then.
Yeah, because it was like there was like 5 other shops, and it was all like fuck you, you know, you're taking my money, you know. So like nobody talked to anybody. You know, I might kind of knew a couple people, but like as far as my tattooing world, it was like the 4 dudes in that shop for, you know. And I would, you know, look at tattoo magazines and stuff and see all the cool shit that was out there, but never thought like, oh, I would know these people at some point, or like I would be able to go travel around and see this shit. Phil came in and, you know, he had traveled more, and he started having some guest artists come in and kind of got me. There's this dude, Lee Hanna, who worked out of Reno, and the Reno convention was the first convention I did. And that was the first time I was like, oh, fuck, this is tattooing.
At the Golden Nugget.
It was at the Circus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before it's Golden. Okay. I went to a couple of those.
Okay.
It's a fun convention.
Yeah. Lady Luck, Circus.
Luck. Maybe that's what it was.
Yep.
Lady Luck. Yeah.
Lady Luck at Circus. And yeah, that's when I was like, oh, fuck, this is what tattooing is. And I met all these tattooers, and that's kind of what like opened everything up for me. It was like,
you're now exposed to the world.
Yeah, this is what it's about. This is like hanging out, partying with these dudes, like learning shit from everybody, trading prints, you know, like, yeah, just all like that. That's what was there. I was like, this is all right. This is what I want to do. You know, this is definitely, this is it.
So that era, if I'm right, the big movement at the time was New School.
It was, yeah.
So did you dive into the?
Yeah, I would say definitely like my first.
It's funny just knowing you now, thinking of you doing like a big bubbly-eyed koi or something.
Totally. No, and I totally did, man. Like, yeah.
By the way, I invented that.
Did you? That was you?
Well, no, I'm joking, but I'm not. I did a sleeve, and it's a pretty fucking good sleeve still. The layout, the composition. But I decided I'm going to reinvent this shit, you know?
Yeah.
So I do a human eye with eyelashes on the koi. It gets printed in all the magazines. I start seeing them everywhere. Everyone's doing them.
Yep.
And, you know, it's a little bit embarrassing now, I think is what I'm trying to say.
But but I know, you know, it's kind of cool. You made a little mark there. That's cool.
It was cool at the time. For the time. Yeah, but that definitely led me into my road back to traditional, what made traditional beautiful.
Yeah.
And I won't get into that, but yeah, I'm just thinking of you, a guy that does the work that you do now, which is really based and anchored in a traditional aesthetic.
Yeah.
And picturing you doing these New School pieces.
Totally.
Kind of funny.
Well, that was
color outlines.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude, I mean, and that was I think that was the thing too, was those first like 3 years, like that was kind of the thing. And then again, when Phil came in, even the machines he's like, dude, try these machines, you know, and I started using these other machines that he had. And it was just like, even using some of those machines, it's like, it almost just lends itself to traditional tattooing. Like, it's almost like, I don't know, I just felt like I couldn't even pull off the new schooly stuff with that, you know? I don't know. It was weird. It was just like, those machines were so
he brought in some really rad traditional machines.
Totally.
Well, I think what's happening there is the spirit.
Yeah.
The spirit of the fucking machine can influence you.
It totally did, man. It totally did. And it totally changed.
Do you remember the type of machines that he brought in? Anything worthy of note?
Well,
are you still loyal to the coil?
I wouldn't say I'm loyal to the coil. I still use them.
Okay.
I still line with them.
Okay. You're not Cuban.
No, never.
You're lining with coil.
Never gone Cuban. I still so one of the machines, the machine builders that he brought in was Brian Hibbard. So I started using Brian Hibbard machines, and I still use those to this day for lining. I had 2 Shag ones.
Oh yeah, those are beautiful.
They're awesome.
They're like the most traditional rotary.
Yeah. Totally.
I've always wanted to buy one. I never did.
They're great, man. I mean, I was like, well, fuck it. I'm going to use this because it's quiet. And I got, I'm trying to be sneaky, and I got all the drapes over all the windows and shit. And then I was like, fuck, this is an awesome machine. And I've just been using those to shade ever since.
The Shags.
Shag
Still,
ones, yeah.
Today,
yeah.
Okay.
I do use coils for black and gray still. Like if I'm doing black and gray, I still feel like I'm better with that.
I figured you'd say that. Seeing you, hearing you got a real hard traditional, rooting in you.
Yeah.
Like I guessed at it by looking at your work and seeing some of the things you've done in your paintings, I'm like, this guy's maybe not loyal to the coil, but you're still using artisanal machines.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't have a wizard stick.
I'm not, I can't do, like I see most of the people in my shop use those.
Right.
There's only like.
You don't use cartridges either.
What's that?
You don't use
no
cartridges.
No. I've never used their cartridge.
Okay.
But I see people in my shop using them and I'm like, man, that looks so efficient and so clean and just like easy,
Right.
which there's something to that.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I can do it,
Well, let me tell you right now, I've been on a wizard stick for over 10 years.
Dude, I mean, mass people have. And like, I definitely am not like throwing any shade on anybody that has.
Right.
Absolutely not. Because whatever works for you. And that's great.
I agree. I mean, whatever works. If you can make a great tattoo with it, I don't give a fuck.
Totally.
Hand poke the shit.
Yeah.
But what keeps you there? What keeps you from jumping the gap?
I don't know. I mean, I think part of it's just, having to learn something new. I think that there's advantages to the stick and like, especially travel wise, I'm like, oh dude, that's so much easier than packing all this shit.
Easier.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's part of like, some people like classic cars, some people like, a 57 F100, some people like a Tesla,
Right.
It's
I figured you'd say that.
You know what I mean? It's kind of what do you like?
Yeah.
Because you can do a beautiful tattoo with all of that shit.
Yeah.
It's just kind of what are you into?
I appreciate it. I do. And again, I've been using Bishop rotaries for over 10 years now, maybe more.
So
I was right on it,
you
right
were
in the beginning.
First.
Yeah, because I have this part of me I'm just so focused on efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't give a fuck, with my cars, with my life, So when they came out, I just got one. I tried it. I'm like, it does it. It's quick. I got one machine. I've got 7 cartridges, whatever I need that day. Boom, boom, boom. I'm moving through it quick. And they're powerful too. I mean, the Packer is the original rotary from them. And that fucking thing moves ink. And I made a career out of pretty large work. And I've got area to cover, and it made it quicker and it made it efficient. And that was it for me. I just stuck with it.
Yeah.
And of course, I do enjoy the travel aspect. And I also enjoy the sterility. And I know your shit's sterile. It's just that with cartridges, it's so plain. It's like, boom, the fucking cartridge goes in, boom, it goes in the trash. We're done with that. Everything's brand new.
Nobody has to scrub tubes.
Nobody has to clean tubes. That was a big one for me too. And, no one even cares anymore. But back when I made a rule one day here at Guru Tattoo, and I was like, look, we're all using cartridges. And oh boy, I think half my shit quit. They were just like, fuck you. And I'm like, but my thing was always like, look, I just want it to be the cleanest shop ever. I don't like that fucking autoclave room. Yeah. I mean, I had the best autoclave on the market. I've got people trained to use it, but that's a machine and maybe it fails. Maybe it does something weird. We can avoid that whole thing, and so that was my motivation, and we're there still. But I have I get what you're saying, like using authentic equipment, handcrafted authentic equipment, it brings a mojo.
Yeah.
It really does. And I will admit, like, there's times where I miss it, and I probably should break out. My old machines are mostly 1 Puente machines. Mm-hmm. I built my first machines. Well, I built my first machines with Frankie. But, later on, I built some really nice stuff he helped me learn that shit and how to wind a coil and do all that. And it was, the artisanal aspect to it was Dude, dope.
That's the coolest thing is like, I don't know. I think that's the magic with the coil machines is just like every one of them is so individual and like.
They each have their personality.
And like, oh, this one's going to do this that I want to do today, or this one's going to do that I want to do today, and like, they all have their little bit of magic and, kind of the difference between buying like a print from somebody or an original where you're like somebody like, you buy an original and it's like somebody sat in front of that thing.
Their
for
skin
hours.
cells are in there.
Yeah. And like with this machine, like this dude sat there and fucking
some of his sweat is in that coil.
Yeah. He spent hours just looking at this thing and making sure it runs perfect, and like, so there's a little bit of magic in all those. And that's the thing is not to take away from the wands and stuff like that, but those are just like mass produced. There's just there's no soul in it. You know what I mean? Compared to hand built little piece of art, basically,
Well, and I mean, honestly, I think your work reflects that, it really is, I say mojo, but it matters.
Yeah,
like when the equipment you use, the emotional connection to that equipment.
Sure.
You know, it'd be like watching a really great guitarist getting on stage, and he's already a great musician, but he's going to play this song today with a guitar his good buddy made. You know, they went and found the wood. They made this guitar. There's going to be something coming through in that music that's different than if he just goes down to the guitar shop and buys a Fender.
Yeah.
You know, and those are handmade too.
Yeah.
Maybe guitar isn't the best example, but I get what you're saying. I respect that. And there is a part of me that wishes I was a little more, and maybe I'll go back, but yeah.
I mean, it's kind of nice to like bust out the old stuff every once in a while, you know, even with the, you know, like I said, using the shag ones. I mean, I think that's kind of like an in-between, you know. I know he CNCs those and all that stuff, but like I know Mike and he's a fucking great dude, and like he puts a lot of love into all the stuff that he does, and so it's kind of that like in between of like the handmade coil and the, you know, just mass produced thing. But even that sometimes, you know, I'll be like, you know what, I'm gonna use my coils instead of that, you know, and it's kind of just a little different feel, you know what I mean?
Well, each machine is an art project.
Yeah.
So you're holding a piece of art while you tattoo. That's
Absolutely.
really the difference. I mean,
Absolutely.
Otherwise you're using a product, a well-made product that does the job for sure. But holding a piece of art in your hand while you make art, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, have those two happening simultaneously.
Absolutely.
And Shag's, his rotaries are probably the most beautiful I've ever seen.
Yeah.
They're just
super nice.
Gorgeous. Yeah, I was going to buy one just because of the sex appeal of those damn things, you know?
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, they actually are sprung, right? They're rotaries with springs?
I don't think his has
No, his were
springs.
straight.
Yeah.
They're just straight rotary direct drives.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of some other rotary.
I think you're thinking about, well, Cubans are
sprung.
He's got springs.
Yeah.
He's got like 4 springs on some of those things, man.
Oh, by the way,
Those things are wild.
you ever been tattooed by one?
Yes. I just got the back of my head tattooed
With a
by
Cuban.
one. Yeah.
Okay, so you can help me verify this because I just got Mike Boyd. What's up, brother? He did a nice little piece on the back of my Achilles tendon. Some mushrooms. It's dope as fuck. Solid as fuck, of course, Mike Boyd, right? Ouch.
Yeah.
Fucking ouch,
they're rippers.
dude. I'm like, he got that Cuban out. And I was like, oh, fuck, I've heard about this.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Those things fucking hit.
Yeah, they rip.
They hit, man.
They rip.
Yeah, they rip. They rip. So now that's cool to hear. You know, now you're in it to win it. You're off and running. How do you end up in your own shop? What happens next? Now you get exposed to, you know, you go to a convention. You're like, holy shit, look at this world out here.
Right.
All these tattooers, all these new techniques, all this stuff happening. I didn't even know about this. I've been in this cave for 3 years.
Yeah, and you start getting, you know, it was cool to like have this body of work that was in this small town, and then getting out there and like having all these other tattooers be like, that's fucking cool, you know, like never seen it before, and like, you know, feeling some praise from people and being like, okay.
And at this point, we're talking, you're at the 3-year mark when you're
probably 3-4 year.
Is what I see of you now happening yet? Your style?
It was no, it was pretty different. But it was like, I got really well known in my early career for doing like these like girl heads.
Traditional style.
Yeah, traditional like geisha-ish, like dead girl heads. You know, they're always in like blue with like, you know, maybe like a severed head kind of a thing. So I got well known for doing those. It's doing a million of those. So it was definitely a different style, but it was kind of the steps to get where I am now. You know what I mean?
So you gravitated early on towards traditional aesthetic, even though
traditional
at that mark,
aesthetic,
we're talking you're a 22-year tattooer. This is 3 years in. This is 19 years ago.
Yeah.
So traditional, if I'm remembering correctly, was not the biggest request yet.
Not yet, no.
But you liked it. You went towards that.
I liked it, and like the guys that I respected and that I liked were doing that too. And then I saw like this dude, Jay Cooper, who's out on the East Coast. He was doing just like some wild, like really dark, you know, like demonic kind of stuff, but real traditional style. And it kind of like clicked with me like, oh, dude, you don't have, like, if you're doing traditional, like, you don't have to do like Sailor Jerry. You don't have to do this exact stuff. Like, you can use that stuff and do like wild shit too.
So that's the beginning of your true voice.
I think so. Yeah. Like when I saw his stuff, it hit me, and it was cool to be able to like hang out with him and meet him. Like, me and him are good buddies now, and like learn that you can you can do whatever you want. You know, you can take those building blocks of tattooing and turn them into whatever subject matter you really want to, you know? And I was always into horror movies, and I was always into
I'm just
metal
going to go
and
there
stuff like
because
that.
there's a lot of darkness.
Yeah,
Demons.
totally.
Guts coming out of skeletons.
Right.
So I was going to say, where does that come from?
Yeah.
You had
I've been a horror movie like kid since I was 6 years old, 7 years old. I've been into like metal since I was that age. The metal, the movies, all that kind of stuff were always huge influences for me. So I always liked the darker shit. And then it was just, you know, starting to do like painting that stuff, and then people being into it and being kind of like, oh shit, all right, people want to get this tattooed. And it just kind of fucking snowballed, you know, from there.
Very cool. All right. That's your story. I like it. And no, we didn't finish the story. So now you start getting you exposed, you see this new, and then what?
Bellingham it's a small town. I ended up getting in some trouble with the law, and I was like, I kind of need to get out of here. So I ended up trying to figure out where I was going to work in Seattle. There's a shop called Lucky Devil. Lynn Gosnell owned that. And I went down there. I was doing a guest spot at Liberty. It was back when Matt Areola. I was working there doing guest spots. I went to Lucky Devil and was like, hey, I'm just looking for a job. Ended up getting a job there. So I moved back down to Seattle and worked at Lucky Devil for 6 years, and it was awesome. There was some issues going on with like ownership. I don't want to get into details with it, but there was stuff that was going on with like ownership. And, you know, I was just kind of a dude that like, I just came in and I worked. I was a grinder, you know, like I'd come in, I did 3 appointments a day. I would get there at noon and I'd leave around 9 or 10.
On that note, though, I'm going to pause you for a second because this word grinder, you know, you had told me earlier before the show started about your time in college football. And the routines that were put upon you, the work ethic that you learned, right? And you brought that. I mean, that's what I'm hearing. You brought that to tattooing. You know, this get up, fucking go, work hard. That's just a thing that you have to have in any career. If you want to crush it at anything, insurance salesman, I don't care. That's what it takes. And our industry is a little bit, I would, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's a little bit more high percentage of folks that think tattooing is a chill job. That's why they want to do it, right? You can kick back a little more. You can, you know, sleep in, do this. But what I'm hearing out of you is you didn't bring that kind of mentality to tattooing. You were more like, you know, what you learned in college ball. Like get up, work your fucking ass off, move forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, please. By the way, everybody, we are having some really nice bourbon today. It's a new one for me. Let's see the name of this stuff. It was recommended to me by a buddy. Bribery. What do you think of this stuff?
Pretty
oh my
good.
God, it's 100 proof.
Yeah.
No wonders I'm feeling a little silly. Feeling a little silly in here today.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one.
Let's see if that bottle's still there when we're done. But no, I want to highlight that. The work ethic that you brought into tattooing was probably, did you notice yourself being a little different than the others around you? Like the sleeping in, not really giving it your all. I know you partied. I know you were living the lifestyle.
Yeah.
But you were probably one of those guys, work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck if I was up till 2 a.m.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm still getting up at 6 a.m. and getting this piece ready.
Yeah. I think, I learned a lot of lessons of work ethic, you know? And honestly, like, even before that, the way that I got to where I got, you know, in playing football, you know, my dad always was training me since I was a little kid, you know? So it was just like...
dad was in there teaching you the grind.
He was always like, you know, the little league football coach, like he always had me training constantly.
How disappointed was he when you left college ball? I'm going to be a tattooer, Dad.
Yeah.
Fuck this.
Honestly, like he got it even before, like when, you know, he got me to that point of like, when I got the scholarship, and then it was kind of like, okay, now it's, you got to deal with it, you know? And even like right then when I got the scholarship, before I even went to UW, I was like, dude, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Like, busted my ass for so long, and like all my other friends are like partying and going off to college to just party and have a good time, and I just felt like I was missing out on a lot of shit. And I was just like, I don't know if I want to do it. He's like, dude, just give it a year, you know? He was never like, oh, if you don't do this, you know, you're not my fucking son anymore, you know, that kind of shit. Like,
that's why I asked, because a lot of dads would. A lot would. Kudos to Pops, man.
Yeah, no, he's amazing. My dad's one of my best friends. He's
still around today, I'm assuming.
Yeah. He's an amazing dude. He taught me a really work ethic, you know? And then getting into the sports. And when I did get into college and stuff, I mean, you had to ramp that up even more so. But yeah, it did teach me a lot of work ethic shit and a lot of what you need to do to be successful, you know, like you got to put the time in and you gotta grind, you know?
So you're at Lucky Devil, you're grinding. You're a horse.
Yeah.
You come in, you fucking do your 3 appointments a day, 5 days a week. You go home, do some laundry, you do it again.
Yeah, just keeping my head down. And then it got to the point where like people were like, yo, I'm leaving. I can't handle this anymore. And I was kind of like, what the fuck's going on? Like, I don't know what's happening, you know? And so there were some things going on with the ownership and me and this dude, Jesse Roberts, who worked there, who's an amazing tattooer.
I checked him out today because you had mentioned him on some other YouTube video.
Yeah.
Nice work.
Yeah.
Really nice work.
He's great. He was one of the reasons why I wanted to work at Lucky Devil. Cause even like talking with people in Seattle when I was up in Bellingham, everybody was like, Jesse Roberts is the best tattooer in Seattle. Like nobody knows about him, but
underground secret.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, I want to work with that guy. Yeah, I worked with him for 6 years there. And then it got to a point where everybody in the shop was like, we're leaving. We're looking for other places to work because we don't want to deal with this shit anymore. And me and Jesse had the money to do it and just kind of the names to do it. And we were like, well, if we open a shop, do all you want to stay together? Because we all wanted to still be together minus the ownership situation. So everybody was like, yeah, fuck yeah, that'd be rad. And so me and Jesse started looking for a spot and we talked to the owner and we were like, yeah, we need to have like a shop meeting. And so we all sit down and we're like, this is what's going on. Everybody wants to leave. Me and Jesse are going to open a shop because we all want to stay together. And she was like, well, just buy this place. And we were like, okay, that's cool. It's already built out, whatever, you know? So we go through our shit and we ended up buying the place. But this was a good life lesson for me. She was like, you don't need to talk to the owners of the building. Like, just go through me.
Uh-oh.
You know?
I said it's a problem here.
Yeah. And we're like, all right. Yeah, no problem. We just need to get this. We needed to make this happen, you know?
Business lesson.
Yeah. Total business lesson. After, we buy the shop and we were like, okay, we're going to change the name to Dark Age because we just want to move on from the Lucky Devil thing. So first month's going good, we're starting to change like signs and stuff. And the owner of the building comes by and she's like, I never said you could do this. Like I never said anything about like changing the name or the signs or whatever. And we're like, oh, well, can we talk? And it was just really like weird, like non-communicating and stuff. And so it got to a point where like the first couple months, I was just paying her. I would go because her office was in the building. So I would just go hand off a check and it was all good. And then finally I went up there one day and I was like, can we talk? Like, can we actually talk? And
I need a lease.
Yeah. And she's like, yeah, come in. And so I sat down and talked with her and she's like, hey, don't tell anybody this, but we already sold this building. Like it's done, like it's gone. And we're like, what? I'm like, what the fuck? So I just bought this shop that like
they're going to close down.
The building's done,
And the new owner doesn't want to continue the lease.
No, because there is no lease. There's just,
But they don't want to maybe re-sign you on to a new lease.
Yeah, no, because it's
you got to go.
Yeah, basically like you got like 6 months. Yeah.
So you weren't a lucky devil.
No. So, but it all ended up working out because there's a really cool spot down the street that we got into that we've been in for almost 10 years now. And we wouldn't have got it if we were just two dudes that were like, hey, we just want to start this tattoo shop.
You had a location.
The dudes came by that owned that place and they're like, okay, you have a location, you got a thing, like you know what you're doing. So we got that spot and it's been great. It was amazing. So, as much as that little hiccup sucked for the time being, it's what got us to where we were.
As
now.
is life, my friend. Right. How many times in our lives do we look back and look at the shitty thing that's going down and then reflect on it and be like, oh, that had to happen.
Yeah, totally.
That divorce had to happen.
It had to.
That thing, I love that because it for those of you out there that are in the middle of that shitty thing, be patient.
Yeah.
Be patient. Give it a year, give it a couple years. Not always. There are acute tragedies, of course,
sure,
that you don't come back from. It is what it is. Bad things happen. But, life stuff, leases, business agreements, See where it takes you.
Yeah.
It's probably just a nudge from the universe pushing you where you need to
The best
be.
spot. Yeah. Absolutely. So got there. We've been there for 10 years and it's been awesome, man. I mean, all the people that have been through there working and the crew we got now, everything's amazing. It's been great.
I love it. I love it. And this leads us to what you told me earlier, which is as good as it is, you're leaving.
Yeah.
You're selling your interest in that shop.
Yeah.
To Jesse.
Yeah.
He's going to be the sole owner soon.
Yep.
And you're going to go on a little tattoo exploration. You're going to go get out there and move around.
I'm going to see where tattooing takes me. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I've heard the East Coast is maybe on your list. Who knows? We'll see. Everybody listening, we'll see.
Yep.
I think you had said, like, look, born, raised Seattle. I got to do something else.
Yeah.
In my career, I've got to get out there and see the world a bit.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I'm 44. I was just like, if I don't do something now,
you might never.
Yeah, I'm gonna be here the whole time. And like, again, nothing's bad there. Everything's great, and it is like it just got too comfortable, Like that comfort bubble is holding me back.
Well, I like that you say you think or you feel it's holding you back, and I get that. Like the hamster wheel of being in the same situation for a lot of years, especially if you're born and raised in the same city. But what you've done in this holdback vibe is incredible. So
thanks.
I'm excited to see what you do when you get out there, these new inspirations, this new city, this new life, this new everything, because there's going to be a new level to your game, which I think it's coming.
Yeah, I hope so.
No, that's the goal, right?
Yeah,
is
the goal.
To bring it up to another level. And I think it will go up to another level. And I'm excited to see that. I really am.
Thank you.
Because what you've done already is incredible.
Thanks.
I mean, I think I said this earlier, but it's very rare to find artists that have a unique signature that doesn't seem to echo other people's work. And I think that's what you've created. Fucking amazing.
Thank you.
Your own special look, your own special frequency. And I want to see what you're going to do next with that. That's cool.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm going into it with no expectations. Just know I needed a change.
Got to follow that intuition.
Yeah.
You do. You got to follow your heart.
Yeah. Yeah. The gut was telling me it was time to move on. So, and it was hard. It's a hard choice to make, man. I mean, especially when it's not like, it wasn't like things were shitty, like if stuff was super shitty and it's easy to be like, oh, okay, fuck this. Like, this is awful. I need to move on. It was like, things are good. Things are good. Things are comfortable, but it just wasn't. It's just not doing it anymore for me,
Yeah, I mean, I have moved a lot in my life. I have been here in San Diego for 25 years, I think now, and met my amazing wife here, kids, family here, businesses here. I'm here.
Yeah.
But I had what you're about to do. I already done that.
Right.
So, I found this place. I anchored in. This is where it's going to end for me.
Totally.
God, that sounded a little dark, but probably true. So no, I think it's a great choice. It feels right to me. I think you're going to love it. Being an artist is an interesting thing. It relies a lot on novelty. And when I say novelty, I mean as simple as eating at a new restaurant. You've probably eaten at the same locations for your whole life.
Totally.
That whole town. Everywhere you go, you're like, hey, Jake, hey, Susan. Yeah. When it's not Jake and it's not Susan and it's not the same number 6 that you always get off the menu, it starts synapses. They change.
Yeah.
Then you go home and you paint. Some new shit's coming out of you.
Right.
Because you've broken up the channels. You're shaking up the mind.
Yeah.
And you're going to love it. I think this is a great idea. I think it's the right choice. So.
Yeah. It feels right. It feels like the right thing to do, and that's got to go with your gut with that shit.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to you for being bold enough to do that. Most people would just sit back and their little money, you've got the shop, residual income, got a house.
Yeah.
I just chill right here. I don't have to work
easy.
too hard. Appointments are lined up. Everyone knows me in town.
Yep.
You're going to abandon all of that for the unknown.
For the unknown, yeah.
Respect.
Just hoping that I can make it work somewhere else. Yeah.
Well, you're going to make it work, my friend. You're well beyond that point of like maybe. There are people out there I would say, we'll see how that goes, bud. But that's not you. You're going to do great, and I'm excited to see what you make of it.
Thank you.
All right. We've established your story.
Yeah.
And maybe not all of it, but
the
highlights. Yeah. The highlights. I got to get into some questions I have for you because Well, you have this love for the traditional, this love for the soul that goes into an artisanal craft. I love that about you. So I have to ask a guy like you, how do you feel about numbing cream?
Yeah. I've never used it on myself. I would prefer not to use it because I do feel like, I will say this, I'm okay with Bactine. I feel like Bactine's all right.
Give someone a little cool down.
Just a little cool down, like just take the edge off.
And you
for a minute.
use Bactine when you work on a regular basis?
Not on a regular basis, but
when you see someone struggling.
Somebody's struggling, I will use it. If somebody asks, I have people show up with bottles and I'm like, all right,
we're using it.
That's fine. I don't have numbing cream. I don't tell people to use it, but also because I tattoo a lot of tattooers that know about that shit, they'll just be like, "Hey man, I'm coming in wrapped up." I'm just like, "All right, okay." I don't fight it. It just kind of is what it is these days.
Cuz some of them work, dude.
Some of them work.
There's a new product. I'll just pre-shout this out. It's called the Cream. My buddy John's making it up in, I say Los Angeles, but more Huntington Beach. He sent me some preliminary samples. Dude, I did a girl's chest the other day. She didn't feel a thing, 4 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, just grinding her sternum, everything. Day by day,
easier. That's the thing, is I feel like there's a lot of people that shouldn't get tattooed, because they just can't handle it. But if they really want to, then it makes my day way easier, because tattooing somebody that you're like torturing is
absorbing that energy.
You completely absorb it.
You go, when you tattoo somebody who's in that state, how tired are you when you get home?
It fucking zaps you, man. And it's just like brutal. Like, I don't want to hurt people like that. It's like,
we don't take pleasure in it.
No, I don't want to torture somebody for 4 hours. That sucks. It doesn't make for a better tattoo either, because usually I'm just like, fuck, I just got to get through this.
Yeah, you start rushing a little bit.
Just rushing it. Usually they're moving around a lot. And, it's just a whole fucking ordeal. If somebody that can't hang still wants to get tattooed and they have to do that, then
fine.
A
lot of tattooers tell me, "Oh, I don't use that shit. It makes the skin weird."
It can. I mean, I've noticed it get rubbery a little bit here and there, but like, I don't know. I've never had it be an issue.
Me neither.
To where when I'm tattooing, I'm like, oh, I can't tattoo this skin. It's too fucking weird.
So that leads us to anesthesia tattooing.
That's horseshit. that's complete fucking horseshit.
Okay. I thought you'd say that.
Yeah.
But explain yourself.
It's just the biggest like poser cop out you can possibly do, right? I mean, tattooing, like, you got to kind of earn it. Like, even if you're putting numbing shit on, like, you're at least sitting there like conscious for 4 hours. Like, dude, one, it's a total fucking rich person thing. Two, it's just like, if some dude, I don't care if you're like the hardest ass MMA fighter in the world and you got your whole fucking body done while you were unconscious, you're soft as fuck, dude. That's soft shit. That's super fucking soft.
Well, I mean, hey, look, I'll be devil's advocate here.
Okay.
Lucky devil's advocate. I see your point. I really do. But isn't it their experience however they want? And now you don't have to partake in that. You don't have to fly to a surgical center and do it.
Yeah.
But why not? If some tattooer is willing to do it and some place is willing to do it and they want to spend fucking $50K, $80K.
Sure.
Fucking go for it.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. But I can also make fun of you really fucking terribly for doing that.
Well, look.
Like, you ain't like on my level. Like, we're not gonna be fucking like friends. Like, I can already tell. You know what I mean? Like, we're not gonna have much in common if you're fucking getting knocked out to get tattooed.
Yeah. You're not gonna be on the yacht that weekend hanging out with them, huh?
Yeah, no.
See, I'd probably go to the yacht. I don't know. Fuck it. No, I have all those feelings too. I really do. But I mean, I do have this part of me. It's like, look, I've come to this place where I'm like, look, it's your experience.
True.
Whatever you do is your life. Who am I to tell anyone what to do?
I do agree with you there. I mean, it's everybody's own preference to do whatever the fuck they want. But like I said, you can do whatever you want, but I can ridicule you for it.
And you can say, I'm not going to be at the surgical center tattooing you.
Yeah, I'm not going to be part of it. Yeah.
It is pretty cool though. Sometimes these guys they'll get 4 tattooers, complete an entire back piece in like one session.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a video of that.
How rad would it be though to wake up and be like, back piece done?
Dude, but oh God, think about the healing though too.
I wonder if that's, I mean, you can go to shock, I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
fuck
you
yeah.
just exposed so much tissue.
Dude, I've done like, if I'm doing like there's been numerous times where I've outlined like a back and ass, you know, in like one session. It's like 4 or 5 hours of just outlining somebody's whole backside. And dude, they're like, by the end of it, they're like shaking, and like, I've had people like, they're not crying, like bawling crying, but like uncontrollably just have like tears running down. You know what I mean? Like their body's just freaking the fuck out.
Right.
So like, yeah, dude, I couldn't imagine like what your body's going through after something
I mean,
like
they're
that.
doing it, so it must work. But hearing your story, and I've been in that moment where you see the emotional impact of that day for that person.
Yeah.
And they don't like it in that moment. But I'll guarantee you, if you ask those people today how they feel about that moment, it's one of their favorite memories.
Dude, totally. And like, even like, I mean, with my tattoos, you know, like I'm fully covered. Like I'm proud of what I went through to get this shit.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine being like, I have full body covered, but I don't remember, I didn't feel any of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's taking something away from that person too.
It is. It is. It is. And it's a thing, and it's growing. It's growing.
But apparently you have to have a lot of money to do it.
Yeah, I've heard numbers, weird numbers. Yeah. Like tattooers are getting one day $20,000 checks that are in the room, and
I mean that's
you just got interested.
Yeah, exactly. Now that's interesting. You say that.
Come to work for the day. Here's $20K.
Yeah.
All right.
I might do it. I might pull a $20K day. Yeah, sure.
For the record, Derek's open to the idea. Just
throw me some numbers.
Yeah. Just, you know how to get them on Instagram. Hit them up. Yeah. Okay. We're in the same boat on that one. Yeah. I just like bringing it up because it's a thing, and it's happening.
It is a thing, and it's a wild thing.
And it was talked about like 10 years. I remember people 10 years ago like, well, why don't you get an anesthesia? You know, they were saying that shit, and I'm like, laughing. I'm like, that ain't gonna happen. No one's got $100K. Because I knew it would take, I know what that shit costs. Surgery centers, all the insurance involved. And then here we are, and it's just going down.
And just going under is like one of the most dangerous parts of like getting
And they're under
surgery.
for like 5 hours.
Yeah.
The longer you're under, the higher the risk.
Right.
Knee surgery takes an hour.
Right.
You're 5 hours.
It's a long surgery.
So you're basically saying, I'm going to increase the risk that I could die.
Right.
Because I want this done quick, and I don't want to feel it.
Kind
of an interesting, when you really just get black and white, that's what you're doing.
Exactly. No, that's exactly what you're doing. Yeah.
That's crazy. All right. Next question. AI art.
Yeah.
AI art, buddy.
Yeah.
It's coming like a freight train.
Yeah.
Choo choo. Here we are. I don't got to draw shit. What's your idea? No problem. Boom. Here's 10 versions of it. Which one do you like? Oh, you don't like those? You want more traditional? Let me add the keyword traditional. Boom, more traditional style. You like those? Oh, you want that one? Number 5? Here you go.
It's a whole new world.
I like the way you put that. It is, right?
I mean, I'm not... Yeah, I mean, obviously we've gone through, like, I'm definitely more of an older school kind of dude. So yeah, it frightens me a bit. But again, like, I think it sucks for people, especially that are like graphic designers and like illustrators and shit like that. Like if I was a graphic designer and illustrator, I'd be fucking scared because that's
going to be gone soon.
Going to be gone.
Yeah.
Like, because it's
a fact.
Yeah.
I tattoo a guy who works for Adobe. He actually doesn't work for Adobe. He is number 3 in Adobe, executive, high-level executive. He is the art director. So, well, he's many things, but he does one of those things. And I don't want to, if you're listening, sorry, bud, but, his estimates were like 80% of my designers are gone soon because they're going to have a few leads that just kind of oversee the AI creations, making a video game, making a movie. Yeah. This stuff is, that's a rabbit hole. I mean, we're getting down a bigger rabbit hole that we can go into lawyering or doctoring or what industries, the impacts and things. But our particular industry it's pretty directly, the thing I always say is what I loved about tattooing my whole career was that I had something that most others didn't have, right? I could illustrate. You have an idea, I could make it happen on paper.
Yeah.
And you had to come to me because I'm your gateway to it.
Yeah.
Well, that gateway's gone. I mean, it's not
gone, but
it's different.
It's different.
You have a choice now. You can go through the AI gateway. And let me tell you, I tell a lot of tattooers this, and they'll say to me, nobody's going to want that. And I'm like, you're talking to a generation that had an iPhone in their hand at 3.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, I've talked to them. They don't give most of them don't give a fuck. Yeah. Most of them don't. The thing we were talking about earlier, the soul, the mojo that goes into a handcrafted piece of art, the original painting that's got skin cells from the artist and a drop of sweat in the paper. They don't care about that
shit. They don't care about, like, when I was growing up, being called like a poser was like the worst fucking thing, you know? Yeah. The worst goddamn thing. Somebody called you a poser, you're just like, fuck.
Yeah, that was the worst.
Yeah. But like kids now, they don't give a shit about that. They don't care like if they worked for something, if they paid their dues. There's no paying dues. There's no like, they just want the end result, however it gets there. And like, they don't care about.
But in their defense, they are going to be, okay, you said the kids, right? We're talking about 20-year-olds.
Sure.
Or early 20s. In my opinion, these early 20-year-olds, I mean, flash forward 20 years from now, they're going to be your age.
Yeah.
What do you think the world looks like in 20 years? Like, they're adapting to the new ecosystem.
Yeah.
I mean, what that means, how we feel about that is irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's happening regardless. And, you know, sometimes I look at my own daughters. I mean, one of them's 19 in college, but I have a 13-year-old at the house, and my wife will say, she's on her fucking phone. She's on her fucking phone. I agree. Let's get her off that fucking phone. But another part of me thinks she's also learning the medium of the future.
Of what's going on. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, how the fuck is she going to work for some great company or strike out on her own without being wildly adept with her phone and every technology that's coming out next week?
Right.
So, you know, on some levels, I'm like, go ahead. Keep fucking with it. Get used to it.
Yeah.
Build armor around it because, you know, that's the other thing. She's like, well, you know, she's on Snapchat. That's going to fuck her head up. I'm like, well, or she's going to build a defense mechanism to survive it. Because it's like it's weird because it's beautiful in some ways. I mean, AI most likely, in my opinion, could, if it isn't manipulated by nefarious organizations, which it probably will be. I mean, it cures cancer.
Dude, yeah. I think AI, there's some great things that it can do. I think when you get into the artistic side of it, that's where it gets a little like, okay, now you're taken away from like the human like condition of needing to create and make art and make a living that way, you know? Like, that's something that human beings need to do, you know? Like, we need to make art. And now you're possibly taking that away from a huge amount of artists and people.
Interesting you said that. So I'll challenge you with this idea. So you believe in evolution, right?
Sure. Yeah.
You know, the frog grows legs. Maybe it turns into a snake. I'm probably getting that way wrong. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes when I eat enough mushrooms, I look at it and I'm like, am I just stuck in what I know? And I'm witnessing the evolution of consciousness, right? Into, you know, and it's hard, right? Because we are seeing, when you say we're taking the human element out of creativity, out of life.
Right.
But what replaces it is something new. Sure. And is that something new? I mean, bad, evil, shouldn't be? Or is it something that can travel through space and time like we can't, carbon-based humans?
Sure.
Like, this could just be the teenage years of an evolution. To go flash forward 1,000 years.
Yeah.
People laugh at what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, oh, yeah, right, bro. We're now living in, you know, universe Soltron.
Right.
And you were back there talking about bring it back. And not that you were saying that. You were just kind of highlighting it a little bit.
I mean, yeah, and it can. I mean, you know, I guess what I'm thinking about is like my lifespan, you know,
in
like,
your life,
in my lifespan, where is this going to go for me? You know, and like one thing that I think is good as far as being a tattooer is that at least it's, you know, like, and I could be totally wrong, but like, you know, it would be hard to have like robots doing tattoos on people. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm going to interject.
I know that
think
it's
you're
possible. I know it's possible.
It's going to be possible.
I know it's possible.
In our lifetime. I'll want to shake on it?
No. I'm not disagreeing, but I guess I feel like there's people still, and I hope people still want that human connection.
There will be.
With tattooing, you know what I mean? And like with anything, like, you know, like people like shit that people make with their hands too. Not everybody gives a shit about that, but like people like to buy pottery that somebody made. People like to buy original paintings, or people like to buy a fucking table that somebody made. You know what I mean? Like, so I think there's always going to be that where at least we have a thing for a while, at least, of a thing we do with our hands that technology hasn't caught up to yet.
And that's why you spoke of my lifetime.
Right.
Look, my prediction, what you just said, will become more valuable as this evolves.
Yes.
Right? Because there's going to be certain people that want artisanal, handmade products. That's going to go up in value, human-made things.
Right.
With drops of sweat, with pubic hair stuck inside of
right.
it. Whatever.
Totally. But like you know, that idea of like robot or something that can do tattoos, you know, like, okay, who's getting those? You know, it'd be people like walk-in shit that wants a little whatever, you know, and like they stick their arm in a thing and it fucking makes
That's what they're doing now.
I know.
Give it 10 years.
But
they'll get a full fucking sleeve under anesthesia.
Right. But those aren't the people that want to get tattooed by me now.
No,
either.
they're not.
You know what
not.
I mean? So to a certain degree, like there's a lot of people out there and tattooers out there that are like, okay, when people want what you do, they're still gonna come to you to do it. You know,
100%. Your career is not threatened. It really isn't. I don't believe that. Mine isn't. I'm at the end, whatever. But no, there's always going to be those people who want, and I think those people will be here 100 years, maybe more.
Right.
You know, the value of a handcrafted thing 1,000 years from now will probably be like the gold standard. Like, my God, you're a real baller.
Right.
You paid a guy to make a saddle by hand for your horse.
Right.
Yeah. You must be fucking a billionaire to get that done. You know, we're going to go up in value, or, you know, artisans are going to go up in value. So, you know, I don't think there's a threat to us. I'm more observing the change of tides.
I think
it's interesting.
It is interesting. And I think the thing that freaks me out more than like the tattooing side of it is like, you know, some dude could just go in and be like Derek Noble paintings or whatever and just start pumping out shit that looks like my shit. Yep. You know, that's
get a sleeve.
Yeah, that's what freaks me out. Or not even tattooing, but just making prints or whatever, you know, like.
And there's no legal, well, they're working on that, by the way. I talked to a lot of people in the space, and the fucking legals around this are, it's a hornet's nest.
Yeah.
I mean, but the idea is that there is a mechanism that can track where the AI gathers its information to create the product. And depending on the amount of information it retracted from you, a little check shows up for you, which, you know, if they, obviously I don't have a lot of trust in that. I don't have a lot of trust in big corporations and what they do. But if they could figure that out, you know, there's some fairness there.
There's some fairness. But yeah, it would definitely be good to be compensated.
I mean, yeah, they're fucking, because what does AI do? It gathers existing human. Well, that's an interesting thought, because right now, most of it's gathering from human created stuff, right? But we're moving into the time where its data gathering will be from AI.
From
so
itself.
AI, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's building upon itself.
Yeah, right.
Leaves us, you know, we're back here in the background, just, you know, whittling on wood. You know, it's just like, boom, we're over here.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing, like, I grew up in the 80s, so I feel like the whole Terminator thing, you know, is just like, it always just seems like a bad idea, you know, like there's something about it that just feels
like it's going to fucking kill us all. It's going to kill us all.
Yeah.
Well, hey, let's at least remember some of these robots are going to be romantic. I'm kidding a little. I'm joking. But no, you're right. The idea that we all die is real.
Yeah.
I mean, the big thought leaders are saying it out loud. And it's a very real threat. I mean,
well, it needs to be reined in for sure. Like there needs to be some kind of
100%. But the problem with that is you have to have cooperation by all the big leaders, right? So yeah, US could make some policies to create some rules around it so we can control its growth.
Yeah.
But China's got to agree.
That's
Russia's
true.
got to agree.
That's true, yeah.
Why would they be motivated to be like, yeah, let's all tame it down?
Yeah,
They're going to
totally.
be like, fuck that. We're going to go full speed.
Yeah.
So we tame it down. They don't. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's a scary thought. You know, I think about it a lot. In fact, I think about it probably more than anything else. I really think in 100 years, there's going to be nothing more relevant to history than what's happening right now with AI.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could definitely be right. It's a huge
And what
it's a
else?
huge thing. Yeah.
I mean, I've heard think tanks say it's 1 million times more powerful than when we found nuclear bombs. 1 million times more capable of creating great things and bad things.
And bad things, yeah.
So I think about it. I don't lose sleep. I sleep well.
Yeah.
But I definitely, when I wake up in the morning, I'm a thinker. I'm always like, I wonder where's that gonna go? You know, and I do wonder about that one. That is a wild card.
It is definitely a wild card.
It's a wild card.
Absolutely.
I want to take a second to thank my sponsor, Sullen Clothing. If you guys are lovers of tattoo art or art in general and would like to see that on your favorite t-shirt or hoodie, you got to go over there to check out sullenclothing.com. Ryan and Jeremy, huge supporters of the tattoo industry, huge supporters of this show, great human beings, good friends of mine. So thank you for tuning in. And now back to the show. Well, all right. Let me see here. I've got a list. Okay. I want to hear your take on tattooing, past, present, future. What we just did leads into that. Obviously, you can speak on past, you can speak on present, but I wanted you to project a little on future.
Future?
Well, no, do all three. What was tattooing in the past? In your mind, what is tattooing now? It's evolving, right? The industry is just
Yeah, it's been, I mean, through our careers, I mean, it's had drastic change, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember when I decided to get into tattooing, you know, like obviously, you know, folks weren't super stoked on that, you know, even friends, you know, would be like, what are you doing with your life?
It was
man?
an outlier situation.
Yeah. Like
which made it
what's
really
going on? Which was like what I wanted. I was like, yeah, dude, you know, they're like, why are you fucking your life up tattooing? And I was like, no, that's why I want to do it. Like, I want to get into some weird shit, you know? And then I remember then when it got like on TV and like there was that switch and then it was like,
the TV. Yeah, you're right.
Dude,
that's
when it came onto TV, it was just, dude, it fucking switched, man.
That's when the levers went to their side.
There's like I feel like there's pre-Miami Ink tattooing and there's post-Miami Ink tattooing.
There is.
Because I remember, dude, when the first episode of that show came on, me and like 5 tattooer buddies, we sat there and we watched it and when it ended, we were just like, this is going to change shit. Like
everything.
Just going to be different. And it did. Because then after that, it was like, people would be like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a tattooer. And they'd be like, oh, that's so cool. You know, and before they were like, oh, do you
hide
have
the children?
They're like, do you have another job? Like, I always got asked that. Like, oh, what else do you do? Like, you can't make a living doing that, you know? Yeah.
So that's present.
So then like, presently, obviously it's good. I feel like right now we're in like a slowdown. You know, like everywhere I go, been traveling a lot. Everybody's a little bit slower. Everybody's a little bit, you know, some people are a little freaked out about how things are right now. And I mean, I think that's because a lot of people that have started tattooing, you know, post TV stuff have just constantly been in industry of growth, you know, like tattooing just been growing, you know, and a lot of people that are in it now haven't ever felt that downturn, you know? So I feel like right now there's that little bit of downturn for whatever reason. Obviously, like the industry's super saturated right now and might be a little oversaturated. And there's a lot of people in it that I feel are kind of hobbyists, you know? As it goes on, I think a lot of those people might fall off because they're not really into it, you know?
I mean, I don't want to cut you off, but
No,
I think you're absolutely right. And what I hear you saying is tattooing has reached its maturity.
Right.
Okay. Car detailers are saturated, but there are some that are killing it. There's many other, we are a regular industry at this point,
Right.
meaning there are plenty of us now. And you're right. What you're describing, I call it the Renaissance, right? There was a boom of growth so robust that, and it actually offended me. There was just absolute shitheads
Yeah.
making six figures a year and laughing about it and fucking clients up and not giving a fuck. And it bothered me.
Yeah.
Well, I got my wish because those ones are sweating it now. You, Derek, you're fine. I know you're fine now. Wherever you go, you're going to be fine because you have what it takes and you are all in. So am I.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and so we're going to be fine. And in that way, I'll take a little dip. And I don't know if I even took a dip, but if there was a dip, I'll take it. If we got to do a culling of the herd.
And it needs to happen.
Oh, yeah. Because this industry is a personal industry. You take people's lives in your hand. You take people's spirit in your hand, their emotions.
Yeah.
If you don't handle that right, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man.
So let's do that.
Yeah.
And it ain't going to be in 1 week. It's going to be a few years of this.
Yeah. It's going to be a few years. And, after COVID, like, everything everybody blew up for a while. People had that fucking
expendable
government
income,
money, and they had the expendable income, and
20% new tattooers became tattooers out of their house on YouTube videos.
Exactly. And everybody was like, well, I'm going to just do what it is, what I want to do for me, and so everybody's getting tattooed. Everybody that I knew was just like, dude, we're fucking slammed. Everybody slammed for like 2 years. And obviously that pendulum is going to swing back, and it's swinging back, and it's slowing down. And all those
actually though, it's not slowing down. It's just the amount of people accessing the market are bigger than the market.
Right.
A little bit. But again, the culling, right?
Yeah.
They're getting weeded out.
Yes.
So the market, actually our market is growing larger than most insurance, lawyers, doctors. We are still growing at a slightly higher percentage than any other market in the country. So the amount of people that want to get this, these are facts. I'm quoting that I have some people that work with me that tell me these things, but the amount of people that just still want tattoos is growing at a higher rate than customers that need dentist work.
Right.
So they're there. It's just, you got all these yahoos in there,
right,
fucking soaking up a lot of it, but go on, because you were going here. We'll see who's around.
Yeah, we'll see who's around.
Yeah.
And the ass clowns are going to get fucking...
ass clowns, I love that one.
They're going to get weeded out.
I agree.
And I'm down for that. I'm down for a couple years of just, it might not be as lucrative as it has been in the past couple of years, but I'm down for a little bit of a... who really wants to be in this, and who's just fucking playing at it. Yeah. And those people that are playing at it can fuck off.
Agreed, man. Agreed. And the way I say that, and you said it the same way with a little bit of intensity. Look, I wouldn't say that if we were talking about being bricklayers. No. Look, maybe you don't lay the best bricks, but it holds a building up. Fine. But we deal with a human experience to such an intimate degree that if you aren't in here in the real way, you're hurting people.
Yeah.
People deserve more. Totally. And I'm sensitive to that.
And on top of that, if you take bricklaying it's a job. It's not a way of life. Tattooing is it's a life. It's a job that turns into a whole way of living. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you don't want to be part of that, and you're just I feel like if you're just kind of on the outskirts, just doing it for money or stupid reasons, or just kind of playing with it, and you're not really in it, then why, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
This is a whole way of living. It's a lifestyle,
But like evolution, ecosystems will allow whatever is allowed.
Yeah. Right. And that has been allowed. Because of how...
If the ecosystem allows that to thrive, it'll thrive.
It'll thrive, yeah.
But, and look, I'm not here to argue with the universe. You know, if people can sit at their house, call it a private studio, and tattoo their friends and neighbors and make a living enough for them for the next 5, 10, 20 years, hey, go for it. But I predict those days are numbered.
Yeah.
And you're going to be looking for a new way to make a living, unless you've just got some like reserve income where you don't need to make much, whatever.
Right.
But take the money aside. The spirit of being a tattooer is the spirit of caring about others.
Yeah.
It's the spirit of being a creative. It's the spirit of co-collaborating with another human being to create a dream, a creative dream. And when you bring that, and look, if you're in your garage tattooing people and you bring that energy, I bless you.
Sure.
But if you heard online that this is a quick way to make a buck, I don't bless you. But if it's there, take it.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that little, that fruit's going to rot on the vine soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're seeing it. Like you said, you talk to people in the industry, pros that are like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah,
And,
played like towns where like people are like, dude, I'm just seeing shops close down, you know? But you know, a lot of those shops are those shops that have only been there for 2 years. You know, it's like
pop up, ride the wave.
Yeah, like, oh, I just learned how to tattoo, and like now I don't want to pay a percentage to somebody, so I'm gonna open up a shop, you know, and I've only been tattooing for a year and a half, you know, that kind of shit. That shit's it is right now getting weeded out.
It is. And you know, whenever there's great growth, there's got to be a great culling. That's you see it in plants, you see it in mammal populations. It's a normal event.
Yeah. And so that's, I mean, I guess that would be the future right now, as far as I see it. You know, probably some shit getting weeded out, you know, and the people who really want to do it and really want to be in it are going to be fine.
And there, my friend, wraps up this interview because you are one of those people.
Oh, thank you.
No, you are. And I respect you for that.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate the fact that you're a tattoo artist. I know you bring all that to the table for everyone who has the privilege of being tattooed by you. So, you know, hey, cheers to that.
Cheers, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Before we go, let the audience know how to find you now, anything you're promoting, whatever you have to say around that.
Let's see. The only stuff I got going right now, I mean, my Instagram is Derek Noble 36. I sell my prints through Mind's Eye Creative. They do some cool stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got going right now.
Check them out, my friends. I have been in this for 32 years, and you are talking to a unicorn right now. His art is on another fucking level. His tattoos are on another level. He's one of those. So check him out, 100%.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming down from Seattle. I appreciate that. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. Keep the likes coming. Keep the subscriptions coming. Please, I am not to the place where I can just fuck around in here forever. So those likes, those subscriptions, keep this show going. If you're enjoying it, share it with your friends and keep those DMs coming, because all those little love notes make me wake up and just want to come down here and do it again. So with all that being said, let's go. You're old school, so I'm just going to do the classic handshake.
Thank you, my man.
Thank you, Derek.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers, everybody. See you on the next one.